Imagine a gushing river, a river which you're swimming inside, which is so strong that it pushes you and you have no say in where you want to go. There are rocks, you're being pushed around, you're being shoved, you're being pulverized. That is the definition of low consciousness. In this episode of Freedom from Ego, we're going to be talking about where to begin the journey to gain consciousness, to gain freedom from the ego. Hello, and welcome back to another 8th edition of the Freedom from Ego. Um, One of the most interesting things happened to me over a couple of weeks. Um, my friend actually called up and told me that his father was looking for some content which could help him gain uh, freedom from the ego, and I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't think of him as the sort of person who would watch a show like this. But then I thought that if you're concerned about gaining freedom from the ego, that means you are in that condition. And so this is a video just for him, not just for him, but for anyone who is starting out. And so the question is, where do we begin? And so this comes down to the river analogy, as I call it. When you're born, it's like your consciousness is so low that you were just thrown inside a river, and then you're just swimming about, and your entire life is happening. Your mind is that river. You're being tossed around, and you have no say in where you're going to go. If the river turns left, you're going to turn left, and it's going to turn right, you're going to turn right. And the problem is that the river does not know where it wants to go. The river just goes where it can go. And so when our ego uh, takes control of ourselves, and we're in situations where we're doing it plainly just because of ego, the problem arises when other people around us start to get hurt. And for people who have faced that, and people who love the people who are around them, their children, their siblings, or anyone, and they're feeling pain because of their lack of consciousness, uh, that is the essence, the shortcoming of swimming in the river. But the the act of gaining high consciousness is getting outside that river and walking beside it. Life is gonna happen, you're just gonna walk. But when you have uh, you have decided to step outside the river, then you can sit somewhere, look at it intently, look at it with a lot of um, objectivity, slow down, change course. That is up to you. You're not being thrown around by the river. And so this episode goes to the core fundamental of how to gain freedom from the ego. And how is obviously the techniques change as you become more advanced. But in the beginning, if you want to start out, there's just one technique which you need to know, which is going to change like everything in your life. So the technique that I'm talking about is called mindfulness. So if if being our own self right now is being in the river and being tossed around, what mindfulness is going to give you is it's going to give you a sort of objective perspective. It's going to basically put you out of the river and on the side of the bank. And so how does consciousness how does this technique work? Well, this technique works by becoming very aware of ourselves. So if I ask you a question, that what did you do first when you woke up? What did you think first when you woke up? What did you do next? Where are you sitting right now? These questions might be things that you may think that are something that we know the answers to. Yeah, it's obvious. I check my phone, this, that. But if you think more intently, you have no idea where you're sitting, where you're standing, what you're thinking, what you ate. And so the low consciousness basically is a lack of awareness of our own self. And so high consciousness is being aware of all these things. So just the act of questioning what I was doing, where I was, is a act of high consciousness. But what if I told you that we can take it up a notch? So I want you to become aware of where you're sitting, what you are doing with your hands, what you're feeling on your skin, what is your name, and what are you thinking. Just just close your eyes and think of these questions. Thinking of these questions will make you feel like you are suddenly aware of yourself. And becoming more aware of ourselves makes us uh, more conscious and is the first step which allows us to see our own fallacies, our own shortcomings. I want you to practice this. I want you to become more aware and to become more objective about what you're feeling and when your ego is playing with you. And so if you practice this, it's going to become a habit and it's going to put you in a higher consciousness level. But obviously you're going to come back, so you gotta keep on practicing this. And so this was the 8th episode of the Freedom from Ego. I wanted to keep it short and simple because of the people that I'm making it for, and I recognize that having just discussions of difficult topics is um, not useful for anyone at this point. So we are going to be talking about difficult topics, but most of our effort is going to be towards starting out and thinking of basic things. And so, yeah, I will see you next week. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.